Okay, well, let's get more into this with former CIA analyst turned whistleblower John Kiriakou. John, a lot to discuss. We've been hearing there, that hearing finishing up, the Q&A session ongoing at the moment. One of the things we learned, an interesting point, FBI Director James Comey says his agency was denied access to the Democratic Party's servers. Now, the DNC were the first, as you'll know, to accuse Russia of hacking. So why didn't they let the FBI investigate?
Well, this is really the $64,000 question. I keep hearing things today from senior officials, senior elected officials on Capitol Hill, that the evidence against Russia is overwhelming. They keep using this word, half a dozen different elected officials, that the evidence is overwhelming. And in fact, if you look at the report that the Democratic Party issued, the evidence is not overwhelming. That, coupled with the fact that the Democrats did not allow the FBI access to the server, just makes me think that there's nothing behind this story.
The FBI says it got its data evidence from private companies. Why would they surrender the information, but not the Democratic Party?
Well, the FBI uses something called a national security letter with telecommunications companies, including companies that offer email hosting. So rather than have to go to a judge and get a subpoena, the FBI will write this national security letter, present it to the telecommunications company, and it acts as a subpoena, so they can get whatever information they want. Everything from emails to ISP information, anything at all that they need for their investigation.
You were part of the intelligence community. In terms of these hearings, how much currency, how much value do you put in them to actually come out with coherent, actual factual evidence from them? Because we know that there's been one incident where the intelligence chief gave an incorrect statement. We go back to the Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper, giving incorrect statement to Congress in 2013 when he said the US didn't collect data on citizens. Now, that snooping charter has been in the news since then, it seems, every week.
Yes, I'm actually on record as saying that I really don't believe anything that comes out of the intelligence community that's meant for the consumption of the American people. The CIA's record on this issue, on honesty with the American people, is dismal, frankly. And as you so rightly pointed out, General Clapper's personal record is also dismal. So unless we see actual proof, actual evidence, and there ought to be evidence, if this hacking actually took place, there would be an electronic trail back to the point of origin. We haven't seen any electronic trail. We haven't heard anything coming from the director of NSA saying that there had been a successful hack. And so it just leads me to believe that the evidence doesn't exist.
How does it really work? When you've been in intelligence circles, you've been in, I'm sure, situations surrounding hearings. Is there a pressure to get information out? Because what's happening now is going to have a lasting influence on US-Russia relations, if not global security. So you would expect that anything that comes out of such significant hearings by all intelligence agencies in the US, it would have to be copper-clad. It would have to be watertight for that to happen. But it does seem that there is a writ in these hearings that perhaps not all is or can be seen as factual. They've given themselves that kind of leeway to say that.
They have, and it's analytic in its nature. There are two ways that the intelligence community can go about this. They can collect the facts, the cold, hard facts, and present those facts as evidence. But in the absence of facts, they turn it over to the analysts. And the analysts make analytic conclusions based on the bits and pieces that they are able to collect. That's what we have here. We have something that has been massaged by the CIA's analysts, and they've drawn analytic conclusions based on what little evidence they have. We're not seeing that ironclad proof that we were led to believe existed.
Like, we're talking about the United States here. You know, the number one democracy in the world, security tightest, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to hacking, do you think that such democracy could be put at risk from what is being said here, a hacking threat from another country? Does that stack up?
No, I think it does not stack up. The real threat to democracy, the threat to democratic elections, would be or would have been if Russia or any other country had actually hacked into, let's say, voting machines, or hacked into the Federal Election Commission or the individual state or local election commissions. That's not happened. The truth of the matter, and I say this with a heavy heart because I'm a lifelong Democrat, the truth of the matter is that Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate. The evidence showed that Hillary Clinton essentially stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. That is why Hillary Clinton lost this election, not because of any hacking scandal.
John, the reason why I bring up that point is because we heard not so long ago a statement from the Senate Intel Committee chairman. I can just read it to you. U.S. democracy is not at risk from alleged Russian election meddling. Now, that's come out just in the past hour. It does lead to the question, why such hysteria?
And that is what leads me to believe that there is no evidence of hacking. Because if there were evidence, the chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Richard Burr, one of the most conservative, pro-CIA elected officials on Capitol Hill, would never have said that if there were proof of a hack.
Something else very large in the minds of Washington and Moscow this week is sanctions. US senators are now pushing for more of those against Moscow, even though officials won't reveal proof as to why. Do you think that the evidence should be revealed before yet more serious measures are imposed? Because this is going to be an ongoing thing, that if they increase the sanctions, it's going to lead for Europe to be put under pressure to perhaps do the same. Yet there's no proof from either side.
Yes, certainly the days when an American politician could tell the American people to just take his word for it are gone. We frankly just don't have confidence in our elected officials to believe them and to follow them when they say that we should take their word for it, because if we knew what they knew, we would agree with them. It's too late for that. It's 2017. We need to see the evidence.
Just while we've got you, and it's very interesting when we've got somebody talking that has witnessed the intelligence circles like you have. We know that National Intelligence Director James Clapper said that he's unsure of RT's presence in the US and how perhaps our channel was involved in some of the claims being made. How can it be then that RT is such a central part of the report? Because as you can understand, we're quite interested in that. But yet again, that word evidence doesn't really seem to be going in sync with the claims.
That's right. You know, that ridiculous story started in the Washington Post 3 or 4 weeks ago. And in fact, it listed some 3 or 4 dozen outlets that were allegedly either wittingly or unwittingly stooges of Russian propaganda. Of course, not only was RT at the very top of the list, but most of the news outlets of the progressive left in this country were on that list as well. I can tell you that I write for 4 of those outlets, and I appear on RT regularly, and I can tell you from firsthand experience that the notion is just ridiculous.
It's a peculiar one. Former CIA analyst turned whistleblower John Kiriakou, always good to have you on the show. Thank you, sir.